In this video we're gonna make a part for a crossfader with the help of Blender. So I found some pictures online from a crossfader, and what I will do, I will set them up as a reference image in my Blender scene. So what I will do is I will go to Add, Image, Reference. I'll go to my location, so the images are located on my desktop in a specific folder, and I will just load my image. So I can use the standard Blender hotkeys to move the picture around. So I can use the move tool, for example, to move the picture here. So I will add another picture. And as you can see, you can even scale your pictures. Okay, let's try that again. Image, reference. And I think I still had one more picture. Number 3. Here we go. Let me just organize the pictures a bit better. And you can also use the normal move shortcut G on your keyboard to move the pictures around. So now I will start modeling my crossfader component. Basically, I'm after a component like this that I want to make suitable for 3D printing. So let's have a look at the component. I want to model it as following. I will start by making a rectangle. Make that rectangular shape tapered. Then I will add this detail here that you can later fill in with some paint. You can see it's indented. And then I will add a radius here with the help of the bevel command. As Blender always comes with a standard cube by default, I will just start manipulating the cube. So I will just drag down my menu that is located on the right hand side, but you can also press the N key. So dimension wise, I looked up some dimensions on the internet. I'm just gonna go back with that tool. Gonna give it the following dimensions. So my block is now 11 by 24 by 15 millimeters. So Blender uses meters here, as you can see, mm. However, I know that what is here written down as a meter will translate as a millimeter on my 3D printer. So I'm not too fussy about these values because I know they work as millimeters. If you would do rendering, however, you could get into some trouble, maybe with your camera or with your light settings. So you want to keep that in mind. As the focus is now on 3D printing, I'm just going to treat every meter as a millimeter because that's how it's exported, so I don't need to mess with any other settings. What is possible in Blender if you would like to. So now I have my basic object. So I gave it these values. However, you can see different scale values here. So basically what happens by changing these values, what happened internally in Blender is that the scale changed with every axis. So in the brain of Blender, this block is still 2 by 2 by 2 Blender units, what it used to be. So this is a lie. So I want to remove the lie, because this is the truth. This all needs to be 1, 1, 1. And I'm going to do that. Going to Object, Apply, Scale. And you see everything gets reset to 1. That's what I want. So now my next step in this model is to give this a tapered shape. So I'm going to do that by going to Edit Mode. And then for the people who are new into Edit Mode, I can manipulate my object in 3 different ways. So I can manipulate my vertices. So if I press G for grab on my keyboard, I can move that vertex around. I can also move my edge around, same way. Or my face. I can even rotate, so if I press R from rotate, I can rotate my face. However, what I want to do now is I want to create a tapered shape, and I'm going to do that with the help of scale. So I press S on my keyboard, and then X from the X axis, and I'm just going to give it a taper. We can also give a little bit of precision here. So if I type in 0.5, it will taper it half. So like that you can add some precision. The next step what I want to do is add this detail in. And I'm going to do that with the help of some loop cuts that I then extrude and scale inwards. So I'm going to type in Ctrl R on my keyboard to get the loop cut function. And if you move your mouse around, you can see there are different options. Okay. And with the mouse scroll wheel, you can add several loop cuts. I want to have 2 loop cuts, and I press click and then escape. However, you notice that the loop cuts are not really parallel. This is because I tapered my object. So I'm going to make those lines parallel now. I'm going to do that one by one. So I click on the bottom edge. I'm going to switch on my snap settings. I want to snap to vertex. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to type in G from grab on my keyboard and then X, only in the X-axis. So now this edge moves only in the X-axis. And if I go up, it snaps there. And now it's parallel. So you can do that with the other edge as well. So G, X, and snap there. So now we add the loop cuts, but it's still on the same plane. So what I'm going to do now, face select, this face, this face, this face, and this face. And I'm going to type E from extrude on my keyboard, followed by enter. And you see, nothing much happened. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to click on S on my keyboard from scale. And then I'll hold Shift X. Click Shift X. And now it will scale in every axis except the X. So I want to go in like this. Now you can see we have this detail. However, the detail is all around the object. You might think, oh, why didn't you just select this and the top face? Well, like that you could get into some problems. Like now everything is nice and even. That's what I want. So what we're going to do now is, if you look at the picture, we see that this line is nice and flush on the bottom, and in our case that is not the case. So what we're going to do is delete the faces that we are on the bottom, move this edge level to this, then we're gonna create a new face. So I'm gonna be in face select mode. With Shift, click on faces. Then, oh, we don't want this one. So with the help of Shift, you can deselect the ones you don't want to delete. Okay, I'm happy with this selection. Then you press X on your keyboard. Faces. Now everything is gone. However, this is still not on the same level. We're gonna make that on the same level as well. Gonna go to edge mode. This edge, this edge. So our snapping is still on. If not, switch on your snapping. G on your keyboard. In the Z axis. And there we go. So now we're going to select all the edges on the bottom. There's a quick way for that. If you go to wireframe mode, it can be found here. And you click on B, select all the edges, and then F on your keyboard, and the face is created. So now we have a closed object, and later we will model another component that we can use with the help of the Boolean modifier to create a hole here. So the next thing I want to do is add a little radius here on this edge. So make sure I'm in edge mode, holding Shift and clicking. Then B on your keyboard, Ctrl B. And if you drag your mouse, you see this happens. And with the help of your scroll wheel, you can add a little radius. So like this, I think this is quite nice. So let's go to the picture. Yeah. Well, on the picture, it's a bit on top, looks a bit more flat. So what I want to do, I'm just going to undo my bevel. My two edges are still selected, and I'm going to do S from scale, X axis, make it a bit bigger, and then Ctrl B again from bevel. drag it down. So with the mouse wheel you can add less or more edges. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. I'm happy with that. The next step is I want to make a hole for this component here. I go to object mode. Add mesh cube. And you can see the yellow line, so the cubes is inside. So the reason why it's inside is because Blender places new objects at a 3D cursor location. So I want to see what I'm doing, so I'm just going to click on Wireframe. And then you see here's a new drop down menu. It's created because we added a new cube. I'm going to give this all-round dimension of 1 millimeter. So if I look at my picture, here the metal component goes like that. So that means I want to keep it 1 millimeter thin. And I need to go in the x-axis. So let's give this a width of 4 millimeter. And then a length of, I don't know, let's say 30. And then with the help of G and Z, we're gonna go down -15. So it's halfway from the 3D cursor, because our object was 30 millimeter. So I'm gonna switch off my wireframe now. And I'm happy with this. So if you have a mixing panel, it could be that this is the other way around. You can simply select your objects, do R from rotate, Z axis, type in 90. So you can change the rotation. I don't want to do that. What I do want to do is subtract this object from that object. So I'm going to do that with the help of the Boolean modifier. Add modifier is the range, Boolean, difference, select the object. And you think, hey, why is the object still there? Did it execute the operation? So let's go to Wireframe. And you can see in Wireframe the operation is drawn out. So I think what I'm going to do, because I don't want to see this object, is going to hide it. So go back to my view. And here you can see our crossfader. So I'm happy with this object as it is. So I'm going to export it for 3D printing. So I'm going to go to File, Export, STL, Selection Only, Export STL. Oh, I want to give it a name, of course. Desktop, Crossfader. It's one of my other designs. And that's it. So yeah, I hope you all have fun with this video, and I'll see you the next time.